We don't buy these houses to live in. We buy them in bulk, shrinking the number of homes on the open market, skewing mortgage rates, and exacerbating the housing crisis. Then, thanks to low supply, we charge whatever we want for rent.
Yeah, what's happening now, sadly, is real estate has become specifically an investing vehicle, which is not a good idea for communities. And what's happening is, if that continues, we'll break the social contract with young people, and all of a sudden they won't participate, nor would I. So I'm Lloyd James Ross, 7-figure investor and entrepreneur, and I've helped thousands of business owners and professionals turn financial stress into success. If you're stuck in old money habits, overwhelmed by investing, or unsure where to start, this is for you. I'll give you the mindset and strategies to take control, grow your wealth, and achieve financial freedom. It's time to make your money work for you. All right, now it's time to have some fun. We're gonna do some reactions here. So I'm gonna pull up a reel and you're gonna get my honest initial reaction from it. I'm gonna try and teach you some stuff as we move through it. So buckle up for these fun ones. Let's see what we can find here in these reactions.
Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. Only shooting stars break the mold. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now, wait till...
So now real estate is like 10 times annual income, but back in the 80s, it was 1 times, 2 times annual income. That's because interest rates were at 17% back then. So that even though it was higher, they had it a lot easier because the price was a lot different. Now, people can't even rent. It's way worse now than ever. It's way harder as a young person now to get ahead because of housing. There's a crisis and it needs to be solved ASAP.
We don't buy these houses to live in. We buy them in bulk, shrinking the number of homes on the open market, skewing mortgage rates, and exacerbating the housing crisis. Then, thanks to low supply, we charge whatever we want for rent. It's all part of our company motto.
Yeah, what's happening now, sadly, is real estate has become specifically an investing vehicle, which is not a good idea for communities. And what's happening is, if that continues, we'll break the social contract with young people, and all of a sudden they won't participate, nor would I. So at some point, real estate has got to be detached from a money-making thing. And we do that by allowing more supply and dropping demand. That's the policy that needs to go in place to keep the social contract with young people. And if we don't do it, we're really robbing the next generation of a fruitful life in our country.
Have you seen the news today or last night about offset accounts?
Yeah.
ASIC's doing a big investigation into all of the banks in Australia for ripping customers off and not linking offset accounts. What have I been saying for years? ANZ got caught doing it for over 20 years and overcharging fees for $200 million. All these brokers grab my content. Oh, this fucking guy. Offset. No, you've been fucking flogging products that don't work to people.
Well, I think it goes even further than what Graham's talking about, because banks, they're a monopoly. You don't have any other real options outside the 4 majors in Australia. And if you come up against a bank, you can't win. They're almost impossible to sue. And there's been situations where people can't get their money out of a bank. They're not ideal. I'm not a big fan of banks. They don't lend against other collateral outside real estate. They can do all sorts of things with your money without they can hold your money. The KYC rules are destroying people's ability to do business. And I think the bank's got a lot to explain. And there needs to be a better ombudsman challenging how banks deal with customers, because they are terrible at customer service. Awful.
So, when did the housing market start falling apart?
2000.
There's a specific year?
Yep.
What happened?
Hang on, I'll show you. That is when John Howard and Peter Costello halved the capital gains tax, and the house price to income ratio went from 4 to 8. It doubled.
Right, so can that be fixed?
Well, maybe. Well, you'd have to invest in fast rail. I think you'd have to change the tax settings, and you have to increase housing supply. Yeah, I know.
Good luck getting that through.
Yeah, look, to fix the housing problem, agree, you got to improve supply, which means you got to change regulation. You definitely got to change the tax system so it doesn't benefit home buyers flipping their own homes to make money, which is what's happened with what he said with the CGT discounts that Howard brought in 2000. You also have to reduce demand, which means stop immigrating 1 million people a year to the country. That has to happen. And of course, I think if you did all those things in one go, you'd start to see a shift. The problem is the people that make the rules in Parliament own houses. So they're not incentivized to do anything but pump it up. And that's the real challenge. But the market has a really good way of figuring itself out despite what these people do. And that will happen. The worse it gets, the bigger the fall will be. We're seeing it in New Zealand, Canada, America, China. All countries that have experienced a big bubble have all collapsed in the real estate sector. All Western countries that have had a real estate bubble have all at some point collapsed from it. We are no different. We will collapse. It's just a matter of when. Just quickly, if you're ready to take control of your finances but feel stuck on where to start, I have a solution. My book, Money Buys Happiness, simplifies investing and wealth building with practical steps to help you achieve financial peace. Get your copy via the link in the show notes and let's get your money working for you. Now back to the episode.
Australia has figured out how to beat the housing crisis. I never thought I would live to see the day where I could say that Australia has figured out how to defeat the housing crisis. Tax unused bedrooms. That is right. Now, it's actually not as stupid as it sounds, kind of, because there is a way in the United States that we could that people plan on getting housing prices to come down, and that's tax unused land, right? Like, for example, if you have a house and the first 5 acres, and you're not...
You know what? Like, this the thing. Tax unused rooms, tax unused land. It's very complicated. It's administrative. You know the fastest way to fix the housing problem? Stop immigrating 1 million people to the country. That's it. That's all they've got to do is turn the taps off. We'll go through a recession. So what? We'll come back from it. There's so many different things they could do to shift this, but they're just not doing anything. That's the problem. And they come up with these crazy ideas. Just cut CGT off homes, CGT free off homes, cut immigration, relinquish regulation around supply, and shift the energy costs in the country by starting to burn coal and our own gas and so forth. And you'll start to see a shift in real estate values. We'll start to equalize a bit.
If you are a first home buyer, this is big news for you. It is time to sell your car, sell your designer Gucci handbags, get rid of the jet ski, cancel that European holiday that you've got booked for next year, because the new first home buyer schemes come into effect from October 1, which is 3 months earlier than they were meant to come into effect, which was going to be January 1, 2026. Now, here's how it works. There are no income caps, which replaces the old income caps, which were $125,000 per annum for a single and $200,000 per annum for a couple. You no longer have those caps, so if you earn more than $125,000 as an individual, you will...
The challenge with this is Jack has to spruik this and propagate this because this is his business. What's also interesting about Jack is that he's made all his money from business and not necessarily from real estate. He's got a leveraged position in real estate for sure. I don't doubt it. And he's done super well, but he's a business guy. Whilst this seems good for buyers to get into the market with 5% deposit, the challenge with it is that they're going to be laden with debt. And a lot of them are going to be one paycheck or one job loss away from foreclosure. And the challenge they're going to face now from this stuff is the fact that interest rates are now going up because inflation's ticked up. As I mentioned this on my channel, and this is what's going to happen next. And so those that just got in with a 5% deposit and got all that debt, what if interest rates double from here? You're cooked. I'm not a big fan of this. We're already way too overpriced, and this is the last bit of liquidity in the marketplace, and I don't think it's going to work out well for them.
How old are you and how much do you have in savings?
I am 30 and I have 5,000 in savings.
How are you finding the cost of living at the moment?
I was renting, but I received like 2 noise complaints. So I started looking up like rentals and I was like, God damn, fuck that. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stress myself out and try to move out now. I'll go back to my dad, save some more. You know, some people have it better, some people have the worst. Like I make some pretty good money, but I know like most people on like the average income, like most people would be struggling. I have accepted like never buying property in Australia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't have like very high ambitions in finding pleasure and fulfillment out of making a lot of money and, you know, starting a family and stuff. I play music and I do like martial arts and I find pleasure in other things like going to the beach and just living frugally, you know, because it is so expensive. Like I don't drink or go out, so I'm all right. But
And this dude doesn't drink, doesn't go out, lives at home. And young, it looks like he's in a suit, does okay for his income. I'm surprised he's only got 5,000 cash in the bank. You know what? I agree with him. Having a house is not the be all and end all. You're not necessarily going to get joy from that. A lot of people go for it for security. However, if you're getting a lot of debt to get it, it doesn't create a lot of security. It actually works against you. I would say that he doesn't have to give up buying a property. It's just that there are other things to invest in that outside property. If he educated himself, he could build wealth without compromising his freedom and optionality, which is what I'm a big believer in.
If you are a property owner or a property investor in Australia, there has been a huge announcement that will affect everyone, and you need to hear about this. It has to do with APRA and a change that they've now made to the banks in how they calculate your borrowing capacity. Now, this takes me back to...
Is he wearing a hat that says raise rents? Oh dear. APRA to limit high debt to income homes to minimize risky lending. Obviously, that's a good idea. That's not a good idea if you're, wanting people to buy more houses, of course. But APRA must be the only one that's actually going against the grain here and doing what's right, which is to limit poor borrowing, to buy assets that are seemingly way overpriced in a huge bubble. And I think that's a really smart idea, and it's one of the government areas or offices that's doing the right thing for people. So I would say this increased scrutiny is going to help a lot of people to not make the mistake of over-gearing into a very overpriced real estate market. All right, that was the reactions. Hope you've enjoyed them. If you've loved them, share it with a friend, leave us a comment, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to Money Grows on Trees. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and subscribe to us on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And if you're serious about building wealth, make sure to check out the links in the show notes and follow me on all social media platforms at Lloyd James Ross for more. See you in the next episode.